So today's video was inspired by Emily and Max, who I think was inspired by another person, but I don't remember their name. But she basically did like a project graveyard. Not the graveyard Project Pan, but like a graveyard of all the things that have been in projects and that you didn't hit your goal. Let me say that again. A graveyard of things that have been in your projects in which they didn't get the goal hit on them. That was still bad. A third time, let's do this. It's like a graveyard of all the things that you put in projects but never hit the goal on. And I thought that would be fun, especially for me. I've only been panning for 2 years, so it's a pretty manageable selection of things. Actually, when going and making this list, there were so many things that I have used up or decluttered, and it's like, oh yeah, that's why I was putting them in projects all the time. But anyway, I thought I would start from the beginning. My very first project that I ever did, which was 8 by April, which is like not really a big thing that people do, but I think it was good because I started in January, so it was like 4 months or 3 months, so pretty manageable. Okay, so I put like 8 things in there, so I think my goals were kind of loose. I met 4 of the goals, and I have since used up another 2, I believe. So the only 2 that I have left that I didn't meet the goal are these 2 lipsticks, although the goal was kind of vague, but I still was not happy with the progress I made on these. So these are Fig by Bite, which is this very bright pink, which is why I haven't worn it very much, because it's very bright. This I bought on sale like right when they were discontinuing and going vegan. And then this is a Clinique lipstick. It's kind of like a shimmery shade, and it's in the shade Bamboo, which I think I inherited this from my mom. Anyway, those are 2 old lipsticks. I wanted to use them a bunch. I didn't really, like, I made like that much progress on them. But that was my very first project, 8 by April. I mean, 4 out of 8 is not bad. Okay, next is Pan those eyeshadows the first time around. A lot of the eyeshadows I have since hit pan or decluttered. So yeah, there were 2 from my Revolution chocolate orange palette, which I've gotten rid of. I decluttered it to my friend. And then there is 1 that I eventually hit pan on, and then there are 2 that I didn't. So those 2 were this turquoise from my NYX Ultimate Brights palette, which loves to be in Pan Those Eyeshadows. The amount of times I rolled this palette into Pan Those Eyeshadows is wild. Turquoise. I didn't hit pan on it because it's turquoise. And I've repanned it since then, so, you know, even if I had made any progress, you wouldn't be able to tell now. And the other one is Real Gar from my Modern Renaissance palette, which, that is this shadow. I got so many oranges, and I quickly got very sick of all of the oranges. I think I rolled 3 oranges out of 5 shadows in this project, and it was like right when I was getting out of orange eyeshadow, and I have still not gotten back into orange eyeshadow very much. So this is actually currently in one of my like build your own palette adjacent things. I kind of had to split it up because I don't have a build your own palette big enough, but maybe I'll hit pan on this eventually. Like, the thing is, at the beginning of 2020 I had no pans in my Modern Renaissance, and by the end I had like 7. And now I only have 3 that don't have pan in them, and Real Gar is one of them. So yeah, I mean, I don't blame myself for giving up on that one. Okay, the next project that I started and then abandoned was Graveyard. So this was, I rolled in 6, I rolled in 3 Collecting Cobwebs, 3 Resurrection, and pretty much all of the Resurrections I decluttered. I think 2 out of 3 I decluttered, and the 3rd one was this one. Again, I put it because it was in 8 by April. Also didn't, I mean, I never updated this project. I just forgot about it. So yeah, definitely didn't meet the goal, whatever that, no matter what that goal was, I did not meet it. And then also in my Collecting Cobwebs, I think I decluttered 2 of them, and the other one was this Blotted Lip and Sucker, which actually I'm trying to use up this year, even though there's still so much product left. Yeah, so that's been in projects before. Okay, next was my second round of Pan Those Eyeshadows. So I finally had hit 1 pan in this project after like 4 months, and I rebooted it. And I didn't actually post the names of all the shadows that I rolled into that, but I recognized 2, at least 3. And the other 2 I just don't know. Like, I think they were from, one of them at least was from my Moonspell palette, but whatever. So one of them was Red Ochre, which I I still don't have pan on, although I am trying to hit pan on this in my deck of panning now, so maybe that will change soon. The next one was this shade from my NYX Ultimate Brights again, which I did hit pan on, but then I repressed. So, you know, only partially a fail. And then the next one was also from my NYX Ultimate Brights, and it is this blue, which is currently again in my Panthers eyeshadows. I swear I rolled like 5 of the 16 shades in this palette into Panthers eyeshadows. I don't think that's fair. This is so hard. So hard. Anyway, I have not hit pan on any of those, as you can tell. Alright, the next one was 5 in Fall, which again, I never updated, which is weird because, okay, I started going to college, right, in 2020, and so I moved, and 5 in Fall I started when I was in college. I had all 5 of those products with me, I just never updated it. Why? Why did I even join it? Anyway, I wanted to use, I guess, a lot this lipstick. I don't think I did, honestly. I don't blame myself too much, but I wish I had been more organized and just like kind of copped to the fact that I never followed up on that project. That would have been nice. Okay, anyway, I didn't start from the beginning of 2020, but kind of unofficially and then more officially towards the end, I was panning this palette, which is my CoverGirl True Naked Nudes palette, which they don't like sell this anymore. The nudes one looks completely different. But anyway, so I did use up 4 shades completely. I think completely. Maybe I finished off the last of this one at the beginning of 2021, but I mean, that's pretty darn good. I think I could finish this up pretty fast. That's one of my goals for this year. And maybe use half of that. Anyway, I did hit pan in all of the shades, but I don't know. I could have done more, I suppose, so that's why this is unfinished. I didn't have a huge goal, but yeah. This I definitely intend to come back to. I doubt I'll use all of these two, but I think I could use all of these two for sure. And this is the most progress I've like ever made on a palette, which is very exciting. Like, I don't know. It's wild because when I think about using this palette, I remember it with so many shades gone that when I look back at the beginning of 2020, it doesn't seem real. Like, I had all of the shades at the beginning of 2020, and by the end of the year, this is basically what it looked like. Like, that's wild. I did that. That's wild. It doesn't seem real to me. Okay. Then last year I had like a rolling project 6-pan, kind of like 6 items that were rolling. Most of them, did I hit my goal on most of them? I've hit my goal on most of them since then for sure, if not during that project. So it was pretty successful, but I have 4 things. Yeah, 4 things that I didn't hit my goal on. So the first one is a random single that I think I got at Ipsy. This is it. I worked on this basically the whole year from no pan to this. My goal was to use half of it at first, and then it was to hit side pan, and I just barely didn't manage to hit side pan. Like, it's so small, but that's okay. Someday soon. I've switched what I'm working on. I'm working on different like highlighters and inner corner highlights, so that is less of a go-to, but it'll come back around eventually. The next one is my Super Shock Shadow in Maze, which is this. I've kind of just smushed it all back in there. This is pretty old and crumbly, and it did crumble a lot and then re-crumble, and when I was working on it, my goal was also to use half, which honestly, I might have done since, at least by now. I've used it since then. And then my other goal was to hit side pan, which I didn't do. I mean, it's so smushy, like I could have arranged it such that I hit side pan, but I feel like I didn't really quite make my goal on this one, so we're counting it. The next one was my brow pomade, which my goal was to hit pan on. I was really going for this, like I didn't care that I was wearing it down in a, definitely not evenly. I wasn't even trying to make like an area, like I was just going for the same spot every time, but I still did not hit pan by the end of the year, which is fine. And then my last goal was this NYX Butter Gloss in Bit of Honey, and my goal was to see a gap in it, which actually now that I'm looking at it for the first time in a while, there is a tiny gap in this, but I did not see that then. I have used it since then, but wow, there's a gap in this. That's crazy. Whoa, that's exciting. Yeah, this was just like the last couple of months. It's a great gloss. It smells great. Not on the outside, I don't know why I smelled it like that. Okay, whatever. Okay, next was Pan That Imprint. So this project had a funny trend of hitting pan instead of actually doing the goal, even though pan was not the goal. The idea was that it would be different from pan in a fun way, but mine, I just ended up hitting pan sometimes. Anyway, so the first thing was my Fenty Killawatt Highlight in Girl Next Door. I mean, I just feel like, I've used it since then a little bit, but I hit pan and I was like, well, I can still see the imprint. Like, it still looks like something was imprinted there, even though I hit pan. But, you know, I hit pan, so I rolled it out and I was like, woo! But yeah, I just think it's funny that I hit pan. And it was so much easier to work with the imprint. The imprint is still very much there. The next shade is similar, although this was like even more frustrating. Okay, I worked on the shadow for so long trying to wear away the imprint. So I'll show you an example of what the imprint looked like at first. These shadows had this like woven texture. And this is what it looks like down. So I wore down this shadow so far. I like use this as a blush. I wore it so much. And the imprint wore down, but instead of being flat, it like reversed itself. So it still looked imprinted. Like, these are kind of like mirror images of each other. I don't know if you can tell, like the low points became the high points. And I was like, what the heck? Why? And then I hit pan, so I rolled it out of that project. But it was just like, what? Like, I honestly think you'd have to use up the whole eyeshadow to get rid of the imprint. I don't know. That was so annoying. But plenty of other imprints in this palette if I ever want to do that project again. Okay, the next one was from this Depotted highlight palette. Just said highlight on the bottom. You can still, like in person, you can really see like the G's, but most of it's worn away. I just didn't quite make it. I mean, I'm glad I had this shadow in that project because I like would not have used it at all otherwise. But yeah, didn't quite make it to the goal. And that is everything from Pan That Imprint. No, wait, I'm missing one. Yeah, I skipped one. Okay. The last thing was this blush, which was in that project the whole year, from Brand New, to be fair. But this is the imprint. You can like still see the whole thing. It's definitely harder to see, but it was just like, I used this one blush the whole year, and I can't even wear away the imprint, much less hit pan. Like, it did not work out. Okay, the last few things were from Pan in Every palette, which I did last year, and I hit 12 pans in that project, which I'm pretty happy with. But there were a couple that I didn't make my goal on. One was Sipping Soup from the Child palette, which is right there. It's got a decent dip, but I used this like 26 times or something, like a good amount, and I'm probably only halfway there, so yep. The next one is Cupcake from the Gemini palette. I think I could hit this super easily, but I was just like using it as eyeliner, so it's kind of a given. But I still didn't hit the pan in time for the year, and then I kind of stopped using it. But it's pretty deep in there. And the last one is also from this palette, which is part of why I didn't hit it, because I already ended up with a pan in this palette, so I was like, what's the point? You know, the project is not 2 pans on every palette, it's pan in every palette. But this is the shade Hannah, and I have a pretty decent dip in there. I was also using this kind of as eyeliner. Yeah, I mean, I could keep going and hit pan on this, but it was just like, I'm using it as eyeliner, so it's like way easier to hit pan anyway, and I have a pan in this palette, so I kind of gave up. So yeah, those are my projects. Those are all the products that I put in projects and never hit the goal. Some of these are in projects again, where I'm hoping to use them up, or hit various other goals, or, you know, some of them have been well loved since then. This was really fun to revisit these 27 items. I mean, that's pretty good as far as things go. I mean, I did declutter a lot of the things because they were old or didn't work or things like that. But looking back, like, I'm proud of my progress. Like, my collection has changed so much since I started panning, and there are so many things that I finished up, like, that I mean, so many is a subjective, obviously, and some panners are crazy and can do, like, thousands of dollars and hundreds of items of empties, and I can't. I'm in the dozens, but I'm proud of myself, and it's definitely, like, I've improved my skills, and definitely my consistency. There were 0 projects in 2021 that I started and then just never updated, versus like 5 in 2020. And yeah, so I'm proud of that. I'm happy with my progress. Like, even though things like this imprint on this blush were like disappointing to look back on, or they were disappointing when the project ended, looking back on how crisp the imprint started was so satisfying. And I don't know, like, I used it so much, and I wouldn't have done it in that project even if I didn't hit that goal. So it's lovely to look back on. Hopefully I will be hitting all these goals and more on these products in the future. Yeah. Do you guys have any products that you think back on, like, oh man, I never hit that goal, or I totally gave up on that project, or anything like that? Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful day and good time with your makeup if you do makeup. And yeah, I don't know, I don't have like a sign off, so I'm just kind of going off the top of my head here. If you have more video ideas, or if you liked this video, or I don't know, anything, leave a comment on any of the products that I mentioned, leave a comment. Yeah, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.